So welcome everyone to this solo playthrough of the D&D classic Lost Mine of Phandelver. This is the third episode in which our party attempts to rescue Sildar from the clutches of goblins in Cragmaw Hideout and discover these goblins are not to be underestimated. I hope you enjoy it, and please do let me know in the comments. And if you do, remember to subscribe so you can catch the whole series. Last time, having negotiated their way past the flood released by the goblins, the party ventured into the heart of Cragmaw Hideout and defeated the Cragmaw leader, Clarg the Bugbear. However, Gundren and Sildar, who were abducted by the goblins, are nowhere to be seen. We rejoin the party as Torga starts to interrogate the two goblin hostages to discover the whereabouts of her cousin and his travelling companion. The commotion dies down as all the enemies are vanquished apart from two goblins, now awake and struggling in their bonds. But where's Gundren? Where's Sildar? They must be here somewhere. Torga goes over to the two tied-up goblins and attempts to force them to tell her what they know. She rolls a 13 for intimidation. She pokes one of them with the handle of her warhammer. Hey, you! Where's Gundren? A dwarf, like me.
Me no. Dwarf be taken to the castle with his map.
The castle? What castle?
King Groll Castle, big chief.
And where is this castle?
Castle 20 miles that way in the woods.
And he motions towards the northeast. Then Valanthe takes an interest in this conversation. That's not Cragmaw Castle, is it? She asks.
Oh, yes, Cragmaw Castle, that's the one.
And what about Sildar? You know, the tall one, the human. Where is he? Asks Torga. The other goblin speaks up.
Oh, he in the eating cave.
And he points towards the west. Eating cave? What's that? Says Torga, suddenly worried.
Where we have nom-noms?
Oh, right. As long as Sildar isn't nom-noms.
No. Yuck. Humans be yucky.
What's so special about this map? Asks Valanthe. Why does the king want it?
It's that black spider. Pay well to catch dwarf and take the king.
Black spider, says Merrick. Oh, there's going to be trouble if they're involved. He's heard rumours about the name Black Spider from his time in the Red Brand gang. Reputedly, this is someone powerful and dangerous operating in this area. How do you know that? Valanthe asks Merrick. Oh, well, you know, I keep my ear to the ground. Merrick turns away and starts to poke around and look for loot. Look at all this stuff. This must be what they took from the other wagons coming through that pass. We should be able to sell this, or get some kind of reward for getting it back. He then finds a small wooden chest in a corner behind some crates. He tries the lid and finds that it is unlocked. The chest is filled with silver and copper coins. This must be Clarg's treasure chest. Lying on top of the coin is a small jade statuette of a frog with tiny golden orbs for eyes. He takes it quickly and pockets it along with 2 healing potions. We roll a sleight of hand check for Merrick and we get a 15. This is higher than the other's passive perception, so no one sees him pocket these items. What's that you found, Merrick? Asks Vandross. Oh, it's Clarg's treasure chest. Look, it's full of coin. And he starts sharing out the silver and copper coins. Meanwhile, Torga is still focusing on the goblins. Right, you two, get up. Show us where this eating cave is. The goblins lead the party back through the pool cave and through the tunnel to the bridge. Valanthe casts dancing lights ahead of them to illuminate the dim passage. Torga takes the lead, shoving one of the tied-up goblins in front of her. Vandross is behind her, keeping a tight rein on the second goblin. Merrick and Valanthe then follow. The narrow, damp tunnel winds round to the left and then opens out into another cave. This large cave is divided in half by a 10-foot-high escarpment. A steep natural staircase leads from the lower portion to the upper ledge. The air is hazy with smoke of a cooking fire and pungent from the smell of poorly cured hides and unwashed goblins. There are 5 goblins waiting for them, all holding their weapons. There's a larger goblin above on the upper ledge who seems to be in charge. Hold your fire, shouts Torga. We have captured your tribe members. If you want them back, you need to cooperate with us. And she holds a scimitar to the throat of the goblin in front of her. The goblins in the cave hesitate as they see their tribe members at risk. They look up towards the large goblin standing above them. This is Yeemik, the second in command of the Cragmaw Hideout, who desires to be the leader. He moves forward to the edge and looks down at Torga. with ambitious, scheming eyes. He motions for the goblins to hold their fire.
What? What's this?
Torga shoves the goblin forward, as does Vandross. Give me Sildar, shouts Torga. It's a fair exchange. 2 of yours for 1 of ours. Give us Sildar, or your tribe members get it. Yeemik grunts and stares at Torga, trying to assess how to deal with this. The 2 goblins are screaming for help and struggling against the ropes binding them.
Yeemik, help!
Yes, Yeemik, they mean it.
Okay, I do deal, but one thing. You kill Clarg, then I give Sildar.
Haha, cries Torga. We're ahead of you. Clarg is already dead. The 2 tied-up goblins confirm this.
Clarg dead? Yes, already dead.
Yeemik grunts more loudly, half in annoyance that he has lost a bargaining chip, but half with a fiendish leer coming over his face, realizing that he is now the leader.
Show me. Bring me to head and I do deal.
We roll a persuasion check for Yeemik, and he gets a 9. No, says Torga. Have one of your minions fetch it. He's dinner for your wolves by now. Yeemik grunts angrily at having to yield again. He points to the nearest goblin below.
You! Go check. Bring me to head.
The goblin runs and drops out of sight down the steep, rubble-strewn side passage. Now, show me Sildar, says Torga. I need to see him. And she brandishes the scimitar under the goblin's throat again. Yeemik steps back into the shadows of the ledge and drags Sildar forward.
Here is your lump of useless human meat.
Sildar, a human male in his 50s, is looking rather the worse for wear. He is tightly bound, and Yeemik holds a scimitar to his throat. The goblins clearly have no understanding or respect for Sildar's honoured position in the Griffin cavalry of Waterdeep, or his role as a leader of the Lord's Alliance, a group of allied political powers concerned with mutual security and prosperity. There are a few tense minutes of waiting. Each side stares at the other while they hold their hostages. Then the goblin can be heard scrambling back up the passage. He comes into the cave and drops Clarg's head on the floor. It's pretty chewed up by now.
The old furry fool is dead. I am leader now!
The goblins chant and wave their weapons excitedly at this news.
Leader!
Right, now do the exchange, shouts Torga. Yeemik stares at Torga. He seems to be looking at how to get the upper hand, but he realises these adventurers are a formidable force, having killed Clarg.
Let us go.
Yes, help us, Yeemik! Okay, bring them here and you have the old human.
Torga and Vandross bring the hostages forward, but keep a hand on their weapons as well. Yeemik then pushes Sildar roughly down the stairs.
Bye-bye, human.
So we roll a dexterity check for Sildar to see if he falls. He gets a 15. Despite being very wounded, he manages to keep his balance and negotiates the stairs safely. As soon as Torga sees this, she runs forward to help Sildar. Don't trust that bastard, says Sildar. Vandross grabs the hostage again in front of him and calls, "No funny business, Yeemik," as he holds his greatsword across his throat. "Okay, let's get out of here," says Torga as she helps Sildar out of the cave. "We can go this way. It's a shortcut," says Merrick, pointing to the steep, rubble-strewn passage, and he nimbly navigates his way down the tricky descent. "No, thank you," says Valanthe, and she goes back down the main passage towards the bridge. "I'm not risking Sildar down there," says Torga, and they follow Valanthe. Once the others are behind him, Vandross backs away out of the cave, still holding his greatsword to the goblin's throat. As he reaches the steep side passage, he releases the goblin and turns to make his escape. So he asks the question, does Yeemik try to double-cross them? We roll a 20, so this is yes and. As soon as the remaining goblin hostage is released, Yeemik orders the attack.
Get after them! Kill them!
So we roll for initiative. Vandross gets a start on the goblins. Seeing Merrick's success on the steep side passage and wanting to get out quickly, Vandross follows him. But being heavier, he dislodges the fragile ledge and the whole lot tumbles down in a rush of stone, carrying Vandross with it. We make a dexterity check for Vandross. He rolls a 19. He manages to stay reasonably upright as he slides on the loose rubble, but is still hit by the stones falling on him from behind and takes 3 damage. The nearest goblin then jumps over the still tied up hostage and darts to the top of the side passage. He raises his short bow and shoots a deadly shot, which whistles down the steep incline. However, Vandross has dropped out of sight, carried down by the falling rubble. Instead, the arrow hits Merrick, who has been standing watching at the bottom of the passage. It thuds into the centre of his chest, and for the second time today, he is downed by a single shot. This goblin then attempts to hide in the dim passage. It tries to blend into the shadows, but its form remains visible. A second goblin then swiftly manoeuvres along the main passage to get line of sight on Torga. It raises its short bow and releases an arrow, which cuts through the air, finding its mark in Torga's shoulder with a sharp impact. The goblin then retreats back into the cover of the cave, skillfully concealing itself amidst the shadows. A third goblin moves to a vantage point that grants it a clear view of Torga. The goblin shoots and the arrow hurtles towards its target, but it merely glances off her sturdy chainmail, leaving her unharmed. This goblin then steps back to gain some cover in the cave. The other two goblins then untie the hostages. There are now 7 hostile goblins coming after the party, urged on by their leader Yeemik. Torga turns her attention back to the goblin that attempted to shoot her. "You carry on, Sildar," she says. "I'll hold them off." She summons a radiant flame that descends upon the goblin, despite his position in partial cover in the cave. Caught off guard by the sudden assault, the goblin is engulfed by the divine fire, which instantly kills it. Sildar heads off down the main passage out of danger. Valanthe is ahead of him. She arrives at the bridge that crosses the stream and jumps down. She rolls a 14 for athletics. She nimbly drops to the floor. She joins Vandross at the bottom end of the side passage. Valanthe casts Ray of Frost. She unleashes a beam of freezing energy towards the goblin lurking in the side passage. The frigid ray strikes it, ice shards piercing its body, and the goblin slumps lifeless into the rubble. Valanthe has no more movement available to be able to take cover, so she stands exposed at the bottom end of the side passage. Vandross readies his longbow, but with Valanthe standing there, he is unable to get sight of any goblins above. Noticing that she is a spellcaster, the hidden goblin then charges into melee range with Torga. With a menacing slash of its scimitar, the goblin strikes her. The blade cuts through her armour and inflicts a shallow wound. Yeemik continues to urge on the attack.
"Show them no mercy. How dare they boss us about?"
Emboldened by Yeemik's words, a further goblin descends halfway down the steep passage. With a swift motion, he raises its short bow and looses an arrow that streaks towards Valanthe and hits her with a resounding thud. This goblin then tries to scramble back up out of sight. We check if this is possible with the collapsed ledge. We roll a 10, so this is maybe, and suggest that we need to make a skill check. We roll a dexterity check for the goblin and we get a 4, so no, he is unable to ascend the unstable path. A further goblin attempts to shoot down the passage at Valanthe over his tribe mate's head. However, the arrow catches on the side wall and falls harmlessly to the ground. He then successfully blends into the shadows, concealing his position. The final 2 goblins move up, but cannot get line of sight to shoot. Merrick makes his first death saving throw, and he succeeds. However, he is not out of danger yet. Yeemik then descends the stairs into the main cave, stepping over a dead goblin sprawled on the floor. Now there is a goblin within melee range of Torga. She wields her warhammer two-handed and gives it an almighty swing and whacks the goblin in the head, which kills it outright. She then turns and quickly follows Sildar towards the bridge. Sildar now makes it onto the bridge, but as his hands are still tied, he cannot jump down from here, nor can he proceed down the tunnel to the east, as it is too dark for him to see. Valanthe casts Ray of Frost at the goblin lurking halfway down the passage. However, the icy beam misses its intended target, and the shards of ice splatter on the side wall of the passage. She then thankfully steps to the side and moves out of line of sight. This then allows Vandross to move into position. He raises his longbow and makes a perfect shot on the goblin. The impact is devastating, instantly ending the goblin's life with a single well-aimed arrow. He then steps back into cover, standing opposite Valanthe at the bottom of the side passage. There are now only 3 goblins remaining of the original 7. So with the adventurers now out of sight, and having lost over half his remaining goblins, what does Yeemik do? So we ask the Oracle, does he continue with the attack? We roll a 7, so no, he doesn't.
Let them go. They not worth it.
The remaining goblins no longer pursue the party, but hold their positions at the top of each passage. Merrick then makes a second death saving throw. This time he fails. He is in desperate need of healing. Torga makes it back to the bridge, and Valanthe calls out to her. "Merrick needs reviving. Can you come heal him?" Torga peers down from the bridge and calls back. I have no healing spells left. Does no one have a healing potion? Valanthe carefully pulls Merrick back out of line of sight of the steep passage. So we ask the question, does this trigger a shot from the goblin above? We roll a 7, so no it doesn't. Merrick makes a further death saving throw. This one succeeds, but his life still hangs in the balance. Torga looks down over the bridge and decides not to risk jumping down. She dashes as fast as she can round the long passage to the east, but she can't make it all the way back to Merrick in one dash. Merrick makes a 4th death saving throw. This one fails. He has one final throw to make, which will determine his fate. Torga continues to run down the passage and reaches Merrick. She casts Spare the Dying. Oh, phew, I made it! He's out of danger now. While Torga tends to Merrick, Valanthe casts Dancing Lights in the eastern passages so that Sildar can make his way round to them from the bridge. What should we do about Merrick? Asks Vandross, looking at the still unconscious halfling lying on the ground. Well, I have no healing spells left, says Torga. He should start to heal naturally over time now, but it could take a few hours. Well, he's easy enough for me to carry, says Vandross, and he moves to pick Merrick up. However, as he does so, he passes into line of sight of the goblin watching from above. An arrow shoots down from the darkness and hits Vandross in the back. He staggers as his health falls perilously low. Vandross immediately uses Second Wind, which heals him for 9 hit points. He scoops up Merrick and runs to the entrance of the cave as quickly as he can. By this time, Sildar has made it round the passage and joins Torga and Valanthe. Seeing the shot, Valanthe immediately steps to the bottom of the steep passage to return fire, but the goblin has ducked out of sight. The coast is clear, says Valanthe. Let's go. Quickly everyone, run, cries Torga, and they all dash out of the cave as fast as they can. As soon as they're out of the cave, Valanthe and Torga untie Sildar. Why didn't you do that sooner? I could have helped, says Sildar. I'm not a complete relic yet, I'll have you know. Oh, sorry, I didn't think. No time, says Torga. Vandross has laid Merrick down on the grass. So you ask the question, did Vandross notice the healing potions in Merrick's pocket as he carried him? We roll a 20, so this is yes and. As Vandross was running, holding Merrick, he could hear the 2 potion bottles clinking in Merrick's pocket. He searches in Merrick's pockets. He rolls a 20 for investigation. So this suggests that Vandross is going to find more than just the healing potions. He reaches into one of the pockets in Merrick's jacket and pulls out the jade statuette. What's that? Says Valanthe. Vandross hands it over to her and then checks the other jacket pocket. He pulls out the 2 healing potions. Well, what do you know? He had 2 healing potions on him all the time, says Torga. She takes the 2 small bottles from Vandross and empties the contents of one down Merrick's throat. He is healed for 6 hit points. Meanwhile, Valanthe is studying the jade statuette. This is unusual, she says, and it appears to be quite valuable. It looks like jade with golden eyes. Where did he get this from? At this moment, Merrick's eyes flicker open. He gasps and tries to sit up. Merrick, where did you get this frog statuette from? Asks Valanthe. What? What are you talking about? Merrick is still a bit disorientated. Valanthe holds up the jade statuette in front of Merrick. We found this in your pocket. What are you doing going through my pockets? Asks Merrick. Looking for a healing potion, Merrick, says Vandross. Yeah, says Torga. You very nearly died back there. Would have been helpful to know you had some healing potions on you. Oh yeah, I forgot about those, says Merrick weakly. Valanthe looks again at the jade statuette and then back at Merrick suspiciously. She rolls an 11 for investigation. Did you find this in that treasure chest up in Clark's cave? She asks. You were the one that opened it before the rest of us noticed. What? No, of course not. Look, the truth is I stole it from the market in Neverwinter just before we left, alright? And I forgot it was still in my pocket. Valanthe rolls an insight check to discern if Merrick is lying. Again she rolls an 11. She is suspicious, but can't be sure that he is lying. Can I have it back, please, then? He says. Well, it's not yours, is it? Says Valanthe. But it's not yours either, says Merrick. Sildar is standing just behind them and has overheard the whole conversation. I will take that, young man. Merrick nearly jumps out of his skin at the sound of Sildar's voice. He has forgotten that Sildar is with them. I'll return it to the authorities in Neverwinter. Unusual piece like this is bound to be reported stolen. And he takes the statuette from Valanthe. Merrick scowls, but doesn't say anything. They all stop for a short rest to give Sildar and the others a chance to recover after their escape from the goblins. Thank you, Torga, and all of you, for rescuing me, says Sildar. If you can escort me back to Phandalin, I will reward all of you very well. Oh, thank you, says Torga. How does 50 gold to split among you sound? That's very generous of you, Sildar, says Vandross. Merrick is about to say that nearly dying in the process is worth more than that, but something tells him to hold his tongue, and he says nothing. And here we will leave our adventurers for now, as they recover from their escape from Cragmaw Hideout. Tune in again next time as they head into Phandalin to complete their task of delivering the supplies, and we find out more about what has brought each of them to this town.